Lights, camera, live. Listen, I have been waiting for this interview for the longest time, and it's finally that day. It's gonna be so exciting. So, honestly, seriously, get ready to learn everything you need to know about Clubhouse. You know what I'm talking about. You guys have heard Clubhouse like everywhere, right? It's made a huge splash when it launched last year. But if you're still unsure on how to use the app to build your brand and your bottom line, especially even your network, because we know that there are resources and relationships, then this is going to be the episode for you, because I have the amazing, the wonderful, the talented TerDawn DeBoe, who, like, honestly has been crushing it. She's been everywhere. For me to track her down, I was like Facebook, email, all the things, right? You can hear her in the wings. She is absolutely amazing, and she's going to be here so that way we can talk about all things Clubhouse. So here's what you want to know. We're going to talk about the best way to market your room and your event in Clubhouse, the keys to successful collaborations and strategic partnerships, plus helpful tips for leveraging your time on Clubhouse. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, a Lights, Camera, Live crew. As I mentioned, today is going to be a fun show. We're going to be talking about Clubhouse, because every so often when I have an opportunity to be there, man, it is just so much fun. And the people that I meet are absolutely amazing. But before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to the crew that is here. Anita Miranda, so wonderful to see you. Caleb, you are like the king of Clubhouse in my heart. And Tim Sohn, so wonderful to have you here. So here's something that you should know about today's guest, okay? Here's something that you should absolutely know. So TerDawn has had an affinity for music, creativity, and entrepreneurship all her life. She has an amazing following, an amazing audience, because after finding a passion for graphic design and marketing, she became a full-time entrepreneur, starting Innovative Edge Marketing, now known as Creative Thought Solutions. Let me tell you, she really is creative, because everything she's going to talk to you about today when it comes to strategies, out of this world, right? She's worked with AT&T, the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Caesars Casino, and hundreds of other businesses all across the country. She has grown to show that she is a full-time entrepreneur. She's absolutely amazing. She has a team of 6 people specializing in finding her clients the creative solutions for companies and helping them really accelerate their growth. So having said that, let me go ahead and introduce you to the amazing TerDawn. TerDawn, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you so much for the introduction. You just let me understand that I need to update my bio. Thank
It's
you
always
so much for having me here.
absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting whenever we read our guest's bio, because they've accomplished so much. And the most fascinating piece about that is that they're multi-passionate too. There's like different things that they dive into, and especially you, just having heard about you on Clubhouse, seeing your rise, seeing you like in the social media ranks too. I saw the whole you going over to Social Media Examiner. I saw the TikTok video. I was like, look at her doing her thing.
Yes,
Awesome.
that was so much fun. And when they called, or when Mike Stelzner, who's the CEO, he called me and was like, "Do you want to be the Clubhouse expert for Social Media Examiner?" I was like, yeah.
Yes, I do. You don't have to ask me twice. I'm all, yeah, let's do
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So was that your first time coming to San Diego?
Well, I'm from California, but I'm from the Bay Area, so that was my first time in San Diego. But I grew up in California, so that wasn't my first time there.
Good. All right. Well, shout out to James Hicks, who is here as well. For those of you that are tuning
Hey,
in also
James.
as well for the Easter weekend, thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your day. TerDawn, as I mentioned before, you've been crushing it on Clubhouse. So tell me how you first got your start on Clubhouse? Like, what was that story? What was the origin story?
So a friend of mine who's also, she happens to be a client, and she asked me, she was like, I'm on Clubhouse. She was like, do you want, that was at the time when you could only have one invite. And so she used her one invite. She was like, I know that you're going to kill it on this platform. And I was just like, another platform? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I want to take on another thing. And she was like, no, I'm telling you, you would do really well here on Clubhouse. And so she gave me her one invite. I get in there and I'm like texting her the next day, like, what is this? I don't even understand what's going on. What are all these people talking? Like, what is this? I don't get it. And she was like, no. And she was like really trying to explain it to me and walking me through it. A week later, I'm like, I love Clubhouse. And so I took the time for like the first couple of weeks, and I was just observing everything and absorbing everything and seeing how everything works. And then I was just like, oh, okay. So then I gathered up the courage to start raising my hand and getting on the stages and connecting with people. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is about to be the next big thing. And there's like nothing on this right now. I looked on YouTube, there was barely anything there. I looked everywhere. I was like, oh, this is like Instagram back in 2011 all over again. And so I said, what can I do? What can I do? I was like, there's a ton of digital marketers on here. There's a ton of brand strategists. I don't want to be just another one getting lost. And so I was like, what can I do that will leverage my skill set, but some creativity? So I go on Facebook, like, are there any Clubhouse groups about, or any groups about Clubhouse on Facebook? And so when I didn't see any, I was like, because I had just bought 20 domains around Clubhouse. And so I was like, which one will I choose? And it was clubhousedaily.com. And as soon as I was like, it clicked, I was like, oh, there we go. I can give daily updates about Clubhouse for business owners in the group. And so when I did that, that took off. People started knowing me like, oh, that's the girl, that's the lady that has the Clubhouse group on Facebook. Because I was giving people like the game and the crash course on how to run Clubhouse or how to be on Clubhouse and how to like leverage it as people were getting on the platform. And so when I did that, I was in a room one day and Michael Stelzner comes in there, and it was only about 30 people in the room. This is at the time when like literally you can have a room and anyone can walk in. And he walks into the room, and next thing I know, he's in my DM on Instagram. I'm like, whoa, like what type of day is this? And so then he was like, I love the way you're positioning yourself on Clubhouse. And I was like, thank you. Want to do a room together? and so like he was like, want to do it in an hour? I'm like, oh, this just keeps getting better and better.
Wow.
An hour later, we were doing a room together. Then 4 rooms later, he's just like, can you teach the society about Clubhouse? I was like, sure. And then he was like, can I fly you out to San Diego? And do you want to be the Clubhouse expert? I was like, double sure. And so now I'm going to be on his podcast. I actually have a conversation with him after this, and I'm going to be on his podcast as well, which is one of the largest podcasts in, I think, about marketing and social media marketing in the space. And so yeah, so things took off, and then he was just like, oh, they're looking for a woman to talk about Clubhouse in Forbes. And so then he refers me to be in Forbes. And so then I get featured in Forbes. And I'm just like, I love it here. I love Clubhouse.
She's like, oh, I just hopped into this room. I met Michael Stelzner, and now I'm doing this. I'm on this podcast, and then I was on Forbes, and I was like, wait a second. You were on Forbes? Are you for real? That's awesome. Congratulations. Yes. Own that. Own that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it was just dope. And then even the lady that wrote the article, she was like, you know a lot about Clubhouse. And I guess I didn't realize by, avoiding my friends and family for all those weeks and months to figure out the platform that I didn't know it was going to take off in that way. But I was so addicted, and I was with Clubhouse, and yeah, my family was just like, oh, you're on Clubhouse again? I'm like, yeah. And then when they started seeing it pay off, they were like, oh, be on Clubhouse. Yes, go.
Oh,
Clubhouse.
Yeah, right. And then they like backpedal, and they're like, you take all the time you need. You do what you do, because I've seen the results from it. So amazing. Okay. And then, so what else happened? You flying
Well,
around, you doing all this
and then I
stuff.
finally became cool in my 15-year-old son's eyes because he was just like, "Oh my gosh, are you the queen of Clubhouse?" He was like, "I'm starting to see like what you're talking about now." And so then he snuck and got an account. I'm just like, "How'd you get an account? You're not 18." But he wanted to see what the whole hype was about. And so that happened, and like literally my business doubled overnight. I'm still catching up to it. Because when you were reading and you were like, she has a team of 6 people, I'm like, no, we're at 15 now. And so we like went to 15. Like we're literally on track now to have a 7-figure year. And like all of it, like half of it was thanks to Clubhouse in the last 4 months.
4 months. 4
4 months.
months.
How you like that?
That's amazing.
Yes,
I know,
I love
right?
it.
Okay, cool. So
I love it.
honestly, for those of you that are tuning in, Katie, Steve, he says, this is a great story. Finding your niche and being persistent pays off. Good for
It
you.
does. It
You know, and
does.
I completely understand. Yeah, because for Clubhouse, when you're investing that time and you're making these new connections and you're realizing, wow, this is amazing. And then your family's like, what are you doing? And you're like, listen, stuff is happening in my life, right? You
Right.
have to be supportive. And then they're like, okay, you know, you go do you. So that's
It was
exciting.
just that. It was just like that.
And so here's the
And
thing,
so
too, is that when you did this, you did it strategically. And that's the difference that makes the
yes.
difference. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we're going to get
And
into
that's the
that.
part that people, I have talked to so many people that have hopped on Clubhouse and they crashed and burned because they wanted to be the one to add value all the time, but they weren't thinking about the bottom line of their business, like how you can add value, but what is your strategy behind it? Like what systems and processes can you quickly identify to actually go around the actions that you're taking? Because if you don't have those things in place, then you're just going to be on there for hours and hours and hours. And I call that spending time versus being an entrepreneur and knowing that you're investing your time for ROI and not return on investment, but a return on intention, the intention that you're setting for going on the platform.
What? I'm telling you, there's going to be so many 1 minute social media clips from this because she's going to bring the heat. You guys, I know that you are
Yes,
excited as I am. So let's get into the details. Let's first talk about
sure.
what's the best way to market your room or your event on Clubhouse. Because it's one of those things where, as you mentioned, you know, you're lurking around, you're like, do I, do I raise my hand? You know? And then now you're like, I'm running rooms, jumping on podcasts, jumping on planes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, what is the best way to market your room or your event? Like, how do you get people to pay attention? Because the way the rooms are presented are so different from what you would normally find in other platforms where you could just search for it.
Exactly. No, exactly. And the thing that is important to for people to understand, especially if you're new to the platform or even if you're just trying to figure it out and build the audience, is your hallway is determined by the people that you follow. And so people won't see your room unless they're following you. And so a lot of people, I hear them all the time and they're like, "Oh, just start a room when you get on the platform. Don't wait for anyone. Start a room." And I'm the opposite. I'm like, "Don't go on Clubhouse trying to start a room if you have no audience because you will be in there talking to yourself." And a lot of people get discouraged and disappointed because they didn't take the time to build the audience before they wanted to launch a room on their own. And so the key to Clubhouse is community and collaborations. You have to build up a network of people that you can collaborate with. I have a spreadsheet. I have several spreadsheets, but one of them it consists of people that I want to, like high level people that I want to do a room with, people that I've connected with on Clubhouse that just have great rooms and have different skill sets that I can always like count on to be able to spin up a room with me. And then I have a list of people who are maybe newer to the community that I want to loop them in and help them to grow their platforms. And so having all of that mix of people allows me to be able to identify when a room is a good room for me to be a part of, but also spin up my own good rooms as well. And so the key is really to collaborate with people. It's going to be also, you have to schedule your room ahead of time because you want to give people an opportunity to see it in the calendar. And then because it's still native just to iPhone, you can literally click on an event and you can save it right to your phone. And so a lot of people don't think about like, oh, let me schedule this ahead of time. But yeah, that gives your audience a chance to prioritize your room as well. And they'll get a reminder so that they know to show up on time.
I
And
love that
then,
you talked about the calendar. Wait, hold up, hold up, hold up. Because I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, she knows this like the back of her hand, and she's already dropped. Like, look, I just let her talk for like a minute, and she already gave you like 10 tips. So yes, we are gonna transcribe this episode. Yes, we'll do a blog recap for you, but let me like hold up because there was a lot in that, right? So she was saying most people will give you the advice, right? They'll give you the advice like, hey, just go in there and start a room. And she's like, no, 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 no. Set an intention, right?
Yes.
And then she started talking about thinking about this strategically. So if you didn't catch that part, she said that she had a spreadsheet. And if I remember
Yeah.
from the room that you and I were in together, you're like, I straight up have a Google spreadsheet that has the name, the room of who you want to connect with. And I thought that was brilliant because it is about building those relationships. And most
Yes.
people, they go into Clubhouse and they're like, I don't even know where to start.
Seriously.
Do I raise my hand? Somebody call me? Do they see me? I have no idea, right? So she's given you so many tips so far. And now we're talking even about the calendar, why you would always want to schedule your events in advance, because we still do the same thing even with our show. If it's not on like my audience's calendar, they don't know, no one goes, right?
Yes.
And so I love that you tie that in, that it overlaps with Clubhouse as well, and scheduling your events and getting the word out there. So then what's the next step after that? I know you guys are like scribbling your notes away because like the comments like stopped for a hot second. Type in your notes into the comments so everyone can follow along. But TerDawn, go for it.
Yes. And so this can be a little bit loaded because you want to start with collaborations. And starting with collaborations means that you have to know who's on the platform. And so it's going to be you starting to follow people and understand who, like what types of rooms you like and what type of moderators you like, because there are different type of rooms and there are different type of moderators. Now, when it comes to rooms, there are different, the types of rooms typically tend to be, sometimes people will just do it straight up webinar style, and then they'll take questions at the end of it and they're teaching. But then sometimes people are having a conversation amongst other moderators and they're asking them expert tips. And then from there, again, they'll have people come up and ask questions, and they'll answer them roundtable style amongst all the moderators. And then you have some rooms where it's just a freestyle and it's just a conversation, and you're able to come up on stage and just kind of flow with everyone. But the important thing is when you get on there to look for people that you want to collaborate with, always read the room, because you want to be able to know what type of room it is. You're going to want to understand the flow of the room if you're not familiar, because when it's your turn, the pressure is on. There is no cut. There is no let's play it back. There is room for growth and mistakes and all of that, but you want to try to get as prepared as possible by looking at rooms that are done really well and take notes on those. I take notes on rooms that I see do well. I see they have something called a room reset. And that's when every 15 to 20 minutes, someone comes in and not someone comes in, but someone tells the room, again, because people are in and out of the room, what this room is about, why we're here, what the speakers are talking about, what you may have missed. But people do that even in different ways. So sometimes people will do it poetry style. Sometimes people will rap it. Sometimes there's a DJ. Like there are so many different ways
They're
for people to
getting
do
really
that.
creative,
And so
aren't they?
they're getting really
Yeah.
creative. And
Like
so
a
that's when
couple
you want
of,
to,
sorry, I was just gonna say a
no,
couple of like the Ecamm crew fam. Like they've got like Roadcaster Pros, like everything that you've seen here from
Exactly.
the live streaming stuff, I'm used to doing for live streaming. And then my
Yeah.
friends like Sean Doc Boy, Diana Gladney, the whole Ecamm fam, Caleb, who's also in the audience himself, right? They bring in their stream decks, the Roadcaster Pros, and I was like, you guys
Yeah.
are taking it on a whole nother level. Like the creativity is
Exactly.
there, and even Andrew Kavanaugh agrees. He says that Clubhouse is so cool.
Yes, it is, Andrew.
All right, so what else did you want to add? Because dang, you covered like your that's. I'm like waiting for your book.
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
when's the
right?
book
I
coming
know,
out?
right?
Yeah,
I just taught a 4-hour class on Clubhouse, so I really can go. Um,
yeah, go for it.
so yeah, when you're thinking about those things, and so when you look at those things and you look at moderators that you'd see like, oh, I love the way they ask questions, or oh, I love the way that they host the room, or oh, I love the way that they expand the conversation. You write those people down, and you write down in your spreadsheet, because you're going to keep a spreadsheet, right? You
That's
write down
right.
in your spreadsheet what you like about that moderator, and then write down, their handle, and then go to their Instagram and connect. But here's the key: people don't just hop into someone's DM on Instagram and say, let's connect. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work. What you want to do is be intentional with how you're connecting with people. Take a couple of notes from the room that you saw someone in and say, hey, so and so, I really love what you said in this room about XYZ. And then if you have an idea, say, hey, I have an idea for a room, but do your research first. Look at their Instagram page, look at the content that they create, and look at the conversations that they curate, and see if whatever it is that you want to do, if whatever it is that you want to do a room about is in alignment with what they already do, so that it
Yeah.
becomes an easy yes. And so that's another tip. And so
Okay,
I don't know if you want to
pause.
pause there. Yes.
Is it so again, yeah, it is very similar in the sense of Clubhouse where it's like you're resetting the room because for live streaming people are gonna pop in and out and all the things,
Mhm.
right? And so what we're talking
Yes.
about is the power of Clubhouse. The reasons why you want to be a part of it is simply because there are so many connections that you can have there. You could take these
Yes.
conversations and turn them into actual conversions. We've seen that with
Mhm.
TerDawn. She's talked so much about that and the opportunities that have come her way. As far as how, she's given you so much as far as her strategy, but I find that the most important piece is that you're really trying to get to know the other person and their personalities.
Yes.
When you had
Mhm.
started talking about the moderators, or I've also heard them as like the room runners, there are
Yes.
different personalities. There are some people who know like how to keep the energy of a room going.
Mhm.
And then you
Yes.
also need like a moderator that knows how to shut it down in the sense of like if someone is going off on the rails, because I've seen rooms go a little cray cray, right? And
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
someone needs to go in there and do
Oh, they call
something.
those the bouncers in the club.
There, exactly. There's like in my mind, I'm imagining like a children's storybook called Clubhouse
Mhm.
for Kids, and it shows you like there's the bouncer, the moderator, and all the different things.
Yes.
When you started talking about spreadsheets, I was like, you know, my love language. Like my knees started to get all weak and stuff, and I was like, who is this woman? I need to get to know her. Like, what's up?
Yes.
And so I love that you're taking notes because it's not like most rooms are sharing show notes from it. Some do, like my
No.
girlfriend Molly Mahoney and Caleb from Ecamm, they create show notes, but not all rooms do. So you
Right.
really have to be present to take those notes. Is that right?
Yes, you have to be present to take the notes. A lot of times people try to get around the whole being present part, but no, you have to be present in order to do that. And the thing about Clubhouse is once a room is over, it's over. And
Yeah.
unless you have permission to record, it's just you're going to miss out. And that's the thing that makes Clubhouse magic too, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. And so when you're able to get really great notes about, the room that you're in, it's really good, because then you can either share those with other people, or you can use that to go back and connect with some of the people that were having that conversation, and really have a good connection with them in the DM. And I always suggest when you connect with people in the DM, if possible, do a voice note. They're listening to audio already on Clubhouse, or do a video, because you already know that they're active. Like Instagram is a very visual and audio type space, or Clubhouse is audio, Instagram is visual. But if you get in someone's DM, if you can combine those and maybe send a voice note or do a video, then it means a lot more to someone, especially if you're really wanting to intentionally connect.
That's
I created
beautiful.
a lot of collaborations that way when the app first came out. And then once I started having those collaborations and I was intentional and they kept saying yes, then people doubled back to come to me because they saw me being active and they saw my presence on the platform with people that I wanted to align myself with, because it really is about your positioning. And so that's when, I get tapped on my shoulder by Amy Porterfield and Stu McLaren and Russell Brunson. And I'm just like, oh, wow, I didn't even know this was that important, but they knew me from being intentional on Clubhouse.
That's awesome. So even Katie Simpson,
Oh,
you might not
I
have
can't
seen
hear
it.
you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear
No.
you.
Okay, let's try this. Can you hear me now? No? Can you hear me now? Yes, no?
No, I don't
Oh,
know. I can't
we
hear you.
lost audio. That's
Nothing
okay.
changed. Let me try
For
to take my AirPods out.
oh, yeah. Check them. I didn't even know.
Okay, I
Oh,
can hear you now. That was weird. Okay.
that's okay. If you want to, do you want to charge your, you want to find headphones real quick? Because I could give you like a good 2 minutes. I could give you some airtime.
These are it for me. I'm
That's it.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's totally cool. So I'll give you like a hot second to go ahead and charge it real quick, if that's going to work best for you. Is that
I
cool?
don't know why they're charged though. That's the only part that I'm kind of, I don't know.
Can
Hello?
you hear me? Yeah? Good, good, good.
No.
No? Oh,
Oh,
that's okay.
now I can. Yes.
Now you can.
Woo!
I felt like I was in a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Cool.
Can you hear me now?
So shout out to the crew who's saying that Katie Simpson was saying that she's seen your name around Clubhouse, and so it's nice to finally put a face to a name, right? I mean, you can still have like
Oh,
your profile photo,
yes.
but I find that like video is also very exciting too because you get to see
Mhm.
reactions and how people really are. Are they
Right.
introverted? Are they extroverted? Obviously, I'm on my third cup of coffee, so I'm very extroverted.
I'm an ambivert.
Yeah, exactly. It works out. So, if you've been following along, we've been talking about Clubhouse and the cool things that TerDawn has been doing as far as creating these strategic relationships, because for her, it's really about a return on intention. And I love everything that you mentioned about the keys to a successful collaboration, how they're
Mhm.
in Instagram, you connect with them, you could send them a voice message. I'm all about voice messages, right? Or
Me
you could
too.
send them a video, tell them what you loved about the room. I like how you're evaluating moderators, the bouncers, and all the things. Like you've got like a roll call going on. There's like a secret black book that she has right now. It says these are the top five, top moderators and all the things. And so it's really cool to see that. Nancy Lewis says shout out to all the verts, introverts, extroverts, ambiverts,
And
right?
yes, come on, Verts.
Seriously. And then shout out to Tim Son who's saying shout out to the coffee. Yes, coffee is amazing. Here's what else I want to ask you, right? Because you've been
Sure.
amazing at sharing your knowledge of Clubhouse. You're not like one of those people where you're like, I'm just gonna, my precious, not share it with anyone else. Like you've really been out there and teaching other people on how to leverage this platform. And
Yes.
so for those people where it's like, I would love to spend my time on there, right? But I
Hmm.
don't want to spend too much time on there. In fact, I think it was Caleb who said that he sets himself like a 3 hour time limit to do what he
Hmm.
has to do, and then he's going to hop out. Like, what are some of your boundaries that you put around Clubhouse? Because that could totally get, you could be on there all day if you wanted to, obviously.
You really could. You really
Yeah.
could. So there's three types of interactions that you should think about when you want to be strategic and intentional when it comes to your time on Clubhouse. So you're going to want to have one day where you are just listening and doing market research. That's the day that you're going in rooms, kind of incognito. You may want to put a little sign up like just listening so no one calls you up on stage, because when the beep comes, it's on. And so you want to have a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet number 2 would be having the days that you're just going in there and you're listening. You want to listen and do market research. Listen to your audience. If you're on there and you know that your audience is in a certain room, go in there and listen to the questions that they're asking. Listen to the answers that are being given to the questions that they're asking, because then that then becomes your next room title. It becomes content for your other social media pages. And so that's one way that you can say, like, okay, I'm going to strategically, spend 1 or 2 hours each week doing market research. And then 1 to 2 hours should be actually being in a room, like collaborating with people. Or if you have an audience, start your own room at that point, so that then, but you should still collaborate with other moderators, but you may want to be the leader of that room. So you should have a time where you put it into your strategy that, on this day every week, people can count on me to be in a Clubhouse room, or be a part of a Clubhouse room. So sometimes I'm just a part of other people's Clubhouse rooms that I know, and sometimes it's my Clubhouse room as well. So that's the second type. And then the third type of intention that you want to do is you want to just spend some time during the week too, just going into stuff that is totally unrelated to your industry. Like, go in there and really see what other rooms are doing. I found the best ways to run rooms from rooms that were totally not in my industry. They were like the fun entertainment rooms where they have the DJs and all of that. But I'm like, oh, I can bring this over here to the business room, so to speak, and that can be something that I can add in the mix. And so that literally everything that I just said, maybe 6 hours per week, 2 hours for your research, 2 hours to be in your room or in somebody else's room, and then 2 hours to just go on there and really get familiar with the app and the ways that you can take your rooms, or maybe even studying the speaking styles too. I do that too. I'll go in there and study the way people are speaking and telling stories, and I'll use that as a type of research too, so that I know next time I get on the platform, I can add that in, or I can sprinkle this in. So
I love that. We always have this saying in my own mastermind that success always leaves clues, right?
yes.
And so if a Clubhouse room is like amazing, it's popping, people are all in there, take notes. What is it that the host, that the moderator is doing that's keeping people mesmerized and engaged throughout the whole entire experience? Pluck out what you like that also aligns with your values, because if sound effects isn't your thing, then don't do it, Right? But if it works out for you, I mean, that's really what marketing is, right? You want it to test. And I
Yes.
love that you hone in on the fact that research is so, so important, because most people will want to jump in and just do swipe files, give me this, give me the fast pass without doing the
Yeah.
work, right? And it's like,
Right.
you got to spend some time in there and
Mhm.
know what's going on as far as the territory, how to
Right.
maneuver conversations and whatnot. And so that's so cool.
Absolutely.
So 6 hours a week, starting off with research, doing your
Yeah.
analyzing, emphasis on collaborations. These are things, honestly, friends, Lights Camera Live crew, these are things that also really resonate with live streaming too, because there are a lot of times when I get invited to a show and I want to know, okay, what kind of show is this, right?
Yes.
Is it a dialogue show, or am I doing a webinar for the whole entire show? Do we get to engage with the audience, right? And where is the show going to be? So TerDawn, I don't even know if you know this, but we are everywhere. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Twitter. We've also, we also go
Awesome.
live on entrepreneurs pages as well. So, that's always going to be a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yes, you could add that. Here's another one for you.
I love that sound. No, but you can take Clubhouse with you everywhere you go, because I did a team meeting with my team, and I'm doing air horns in there. I'm doing stuff. They start cracking up. They were like, why do you just have these sounds next to you and accessible? I'm like, 'cause of Clubhouse.
It's a thing. It's a thing. Oh,
It
even
is.
when I'm in Zoom meetings, I'm just I'm here. We can start the meeting now. Let's talk about this stuff, and then you're talking about results, and you're like,
You with that do-do-do-do.
here are the results. This is what happened. And the clients are just
Exactly.
okay. So
Well, on behalf of everyone, I just I don't know if you can hear the clapping. Oh, probably not because my AirPods are in. I played mine, but you probably couldn't hear it. Darn it. Well, I just did the clap one.
Yeah. So that's good. It's interesting because I think even after this, I would love to get your opinion on Clubhouse versus live streaming, just because it is different, isn't it?
Mm.
Because for Clubhouse, you
Oh,
have your
yes.
own studio set up, right?
Hmm.
Like I said, like good friends of mine, they have the Rodecaster Pro, which they funnel in all of their stuff,
Yeah.
like high end equipment, into Clubhouse. What's your gear for
Yeah.
Clubhouse when you are managing the room? What's your absolute must have? Where you're like, I'm going into my studio. This is what I need.
So when I go in there, I always have to have moderatorsounds.com on deck. Like that is, it's super simple. It has sounds that I can use in the room. And so
Mm-hmm.
moderatorsounds.com is a must have for me. Um, what is another thing that I have to have? I definitely have to have my notebook. I have to have my notebook and I have to have my spreadsheets. I keep talking about them, but I have to have them so that I can, because if like it comes so fast. Like it's like a podcast or a radio or anything where there's continuous talking. We're 3 or 4 hours in, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to remember that." You don't remember it,
No, you
but
don't
you.
remember.
And so, like having the notepad, having the spreadsheet, and having if I'm called on stage, which often I am, I have moderator sounds on deck. I take
Yes.
those
And
everywhere
so
now.
this is what I was looking at. As soon as you said it, I looked it up and I was like, okay, so you've got, there's a coronavirus Cardi B. Okay. I need to go check that out later. Turned down for what? That's awesome. So then you have this right next to you when you are running the room.
Yes.
Very cool. Thank you, Cecilia, for dropping this in the comments because now we can share it on the screen. Okay, so then what else do you have?
So yeah, the notebook, the moderator sounds, the spreadsheet. I have a
Spreadsheet.
whole
I'm
list
always like, the
of
spreadsheet.
yes. Um, what else? That's about it, really.
Okay. What I've seen a couple of like my colleagues have done is they'll have Descript or Otter.ai running in the background because they want to take
Yeah.
the notes and it'll automatically transcribe it for them. So I thought that was always really cool.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Otter.ai is a must-have. I don't even know how I left that one out. I love Otter.ai because when it's time for me to like really like write out notes, like I can really go in depth with those because it's really hard. Like my thumbs get tired with the with the notes on my phone, and
the
then
fact
like
that you're doing everything on your phone like boggles my mind because I'd be like, "Where's my keyboard? Type, 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 type." That's usually what I'm doing.
yeah. Well, no, no, no. The spreadsheet is on my computer. The notes are usually on my phone. The Otter.ai, it depends because if I'm listening outside of my office or my house, then I have to have that on my phone. So it just depends. It depends on the day because Clubhouse could be anywhere. You could be in the club anywhere.
That's very true. That's very true. And this is so funny from Katie. She's saying, I've got spreadsheet phobia. They freak me out. Oh my gosh, no. You tell me about pivot tables, conditional formatting, like data validation, drop down. That's my background. I used to build
Oh,
like data warehouses and we would pull data from all these different
oh.
things. And so no, spreadsheets don't freak me out. I mean, you come through with a spreadsheet and I'm like, "Hi."
Yes. I have six. Like people are like, you have six spreadsheets on Clubhouse. Like it's still new. I'm like, I don't care. Like I have six spreadsheets and they do me very well.
That's good. Do you find yourself using like a social CRM like nimble.com where you could take those connections and put them into another like database where you can be like, oh, okay, this is how many
So
connections
we're
I've had.
actually
Go for it.
we're actually in the process of collaborating with someone who had built a software around Clubhouse like lead tracking and generate like from Clubhouse to Instagram. So we're actually building in our automations on the back end of Instagram right now. So and Facebook, so that anyone from Clubhouse can now, like, it goes into a data spreadsheet. If they say a certain keyword, it goes into an automation. I'm able to get them into our group. I'm able to get them into an opt-in for Clubhouse. Like, yeah, we're going high level. We're going high level.
Yeah, I just heard about the whole Instagram and chatbot messenger marketing that's tying into that. Like my good friend Amanda
Mhm.
Robinson, she's one of my co-authors for the book. She's like, there's so many possibilities, and so I think when you're able
Yes.
to take these different platforms, invest your time in wisely, and create the systems, right? Create the
Hmm.
system so that way you could seal the deals pretty much easily and effortlessly, then that's always going to be fun. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Someone just said conditional formatting is Stephanie's love language. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Harry's like, that's real geeky, Stephanie. It's true, Harry. You know, you talk about spreadsheets, you know your people. You're like, oh, pivot tables. What? Let's talk about this. Awesome. So then let's talk about if you're spending 6 hours a week on Clubhouse, how much time are you spending on other social media platforms? Is that like your go to these days? Like Clubhouse is where it's at. We've shifted everything over there. I now have a team that used to be 6 people. Now we have 15 people. You
Yeah.
know,
So a
what, like,
part
where's
of
your head
that,
at?
yeah, part of that 15 people is our social media team now, because like Clubhouse requires presence. And so we kind of took a step back to see, like, okay, what are our overall goals? And so we're tying Clubhouse into it. And from there, with our overall goals with Clubhouse, since we know it's intentional traffic, we now have like a social media team. Now I
Mm,
have like people who are keeping our Instagram up to date, keeping the engagement up there, and then making sure that the DMs and everything are all being responded to, that we're leading people to where they need to go, whether it be to join our group or whether it be to opt into a class. Because I just did the Clubhouse to Cash Flow class. Teaching how we made like six figures in 4 months from Clubhouse, and so I have a team now that just goes in like manually until we can get it all automated in there.
yeah.
And I don't want it to be all automated, but to get it more automated. So we do have, because Instagram is directly connected to Clubhouse, we're really intentional about making sure that the Instagram, that we're continuously, putting time and effort into Instagram, and that I have my schedule in a way that I can put the time and attention into Clubhouse, because I'm the only one that can really show up there. But then I'm now thinking about going on other platforms to talk about Clubhouse. And so I don't know if you know who Kenya Kelly is, but she's like really big on TikTok. And so we had a meeting yesterday, and I gave her a Clubhouse strategy for something she's doing. And then she gave me the strategy on TikTok and how I can go on there. And we're gonna go on TikTok and start doing little videos with Clubhouse tips, as well as LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we're gonna go on there as well. So we're going to be expanding on those platforms, but we're going to be expanding with intention to talk about Clubhouse and how business owners can use it and leverage it in their business.
And it's only April 1st, y'all. Q1 just wrapped up yesterday, and she just laid out
Yes.
pretty much her whole entire world domination when it comes to Clubhouse. So, having
Yeah.
said that, let's give her a second to breathe. If you guys have any questions about Clubhouse, go ahead and drop them in the comments because she's here, which we're not always blessed to have her attention because she's doing stuff. She's doing a lot of things. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And while you do that, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to RESTREAM.io, who is helping us power lights, camera, live. So as I mentioned before, we are live on multiple platforms. And if it wasn't for the technology behind ReStream, I wouldn't know where to find everyone. So it's so amazing to have all of you tuning in. And having said that, let me give you a quick tidbit about Restream.io. Your bridge to live streaming across all platforms has arrived. Restream takes care of the bandwidth and processing so you can focus on getting maximum visibility on your favorite platforms. To learn more, head on over to Restream.io. And not only that, though, but I have to tell you something. Our good friends over at Ecamm Live is actually what I use. TerDawn, I don't think I've ever told you, but Ecamm.live. Ecamm Live is what I use to create the graphics and all the wonderful and
Oh,
amazing
nice.
things. Yeah, what I wanted to tell you guys is that they are giving away an entire studio. So yes, you can have your live streaming studio and still kind of have it work out for, Clubhouse as well. So this is your opportunity if you're interested in entering. My goodness, they have a Mac Mini M1. So if you want to have a dedicated live streaming setup, kind of like what I do, that's going to be amazing. You get an LG display, Sony ZV-1 camera, a Shure microphone, a Stream Deck XL, two Elgato key lights, and a switch pod. I basically have all of that except for the ZV-1 camera and the Shure microphone. That is going to be your opportunity to be a part of that. And if you want to go ahead and enter, go ahead and enter. And I do believe that the website is, let's move me around, ecamm.tv/giveaway. So ecamm.tv/giveaway. Caleb, if you're in the audience or whoever's floating around in the comments, go ahead and drop that there, and that will be amazing. So having said that, thank you so much. You guys are so great at following instructions, because TerDawn, they did throw in their questions, and they do have
Awesome.
questions.
And
Let's
shout out
bring
to
them up.
Restream. I want to give them a shout out too, because your setup is amazing. I'm over here like, oh, I need some lights, some camera, and some action over here. Like
That's what I'm
Stephanie's got it. She got
saying.
it popping. It's popping over there.
That's what we do. And that's the fun thing too, is that everyone is an expert in their own niche. And when we get to know each other and we
Hmm.
get to collaborate, it's like, this is what you can do on the live streaming end. If you want to do this or that, then, we'll exchange ideas. We'll have fun.
Oh yes, yes, I love it. I love it.
All right, so let's bring this. Here's a good question from Katie Simpson. And she's saying, are you going to share TikTok videos on LinkedIn? Or are you going to keep them strictly on TikTok?
No, I'm keeping it on TikTok. I'll probably convert the TikTok to Reels so that then it goes hand in hand with our Instagram strategy. But I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to do the TikTok on LinkedIn. Those are just two different, way different platforms.
All right, cool, 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 cool. Here's a really good question, because I know that there's a lot of discussions about what you can and can't do on Clubhouse. And so Amanda is asking, recording on Otter.ai, is that breaking the rules? Or are there certain things that you say when you're moderating a room to let people know in advance? How do you handle that?
So there's three ways you can do it. You can say in your title that you're recording if you don't have permission from all the moderators to record. I strictly use, I know with the Clubhouse guidelines, if you are recording with the intent to use it to publicly share it, then you have to get the permission of the moderators and anyone who you're interviewing. But I'm just using it, or if someone is just using it for notes purposes, then you're able to go ahead and transcribe it using Otter.ai.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I know that even sometimes when I'm doing virtual events, right, we'll always have speakers sign off on an agreement saying, hey, we'll repurpose your content and such and such. And I'm so curious to hear how lawyers are going to be approaching Clubhouse for those of us that may or may not be recording the sessions, just to see how it's going to pan out. But that's true.
Yes.
Shout out to Harry Jameson, who's saying, this is so dope. Thank you, Harry. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us, right?
you, Harry.
I'm telling you, TerDawn came in with the heat. She threw it down. We have so many amazing notes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So we're coming up on the hour, and TerDawn, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can find you, because obviously you are the queen
Sure.
of Clubhouse. Own it. You've got a crown for that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, what are the other best ways for them to reach out to you?
So the best ways to reach out to me, really, I'm really active on all of my social media. I'm the only TerDawn and 7 billion people in the world. So if you look me up on Facebook, on Instagram, I'm there. All things Clubhouse is going to be in my group, clubhousedaily.com. That's where I share the tips, the tricks, the hacks, the resources, all of that. Clubhousedaily.com is where it's at for that. And then if you want to know more about myself, it's TerDawn.com. If you want to know more about my agency and what we do to be able to help business owners with building their brand, their business, and their bank account through digital marketing and brand development, then you can go to creativityhelps.com because we do it creatively. So creativityhelps.com.
Awesome. And I was just looking at your Clubhouse daily. Beautifully done. Nicely done. Look at you. You get,
Thank you. I actually did that in a couple hours, like 2 weeks after I got on the platform.
I'm not, I wouldn't even be surprised with you saying that because I feel like you're the type of person where when you have an idea, you get after it. You're just,
Yes.
I think a lot of times, especially in the entrepreneur world, right, people feel like they need to have everything on deck before that they could go ahead and get started. And you're just the type of person where it's like, let's fail forward. Let's figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's figure it out and make tweaks along the way. And so that's
I
fun.
tell people all the time, I say, I am not afraid to jump off the cliff. Like I jump off the cliff often and I build the wing on the way down. I don't care if it's one wing and it's wobbling over to the side. I'm going to build that thing on the way down.
See, I feel like if you were to come back down to San Diego, I don't know if you've ever done indoor rock climbing before, but it's like one of
I
my
have.
favorite pastimes because there's nothing like climbing up on a rock, right? And you're just like, if you really want to get to the top, sometimes you can't go for the easiest thing. Sometimes you just have to take the leap and grab onto it, right?
Oh my
But also
goodness.
knowing, but also knowing that you have a harness and you're still going to have that safety net because your community is your immunity, right? They're still going to be there to
Oh,
catch you when
yes.
you
That's
fall and
good.
support you. So
Yes.
I can't wait. Can't wait for us
Yes,
to
that's so
meet in
true
person.
too. And sometimes you don't have a harness because I was in Vegas last week for my spiritual retreat and I walked and I went mountain climbing. And we went on there and some of those things I had no harness. I saw people with the harnesses that were on there, but when we were climbing some of that stuff, I was like, oh, I'm just going to have to jump. And so I jumped. I jumped, but it's in those things like that though, is where you find the beauty though. I would say take calculated risk, but don't be afraid to take the risk.
That's true. Be informed. Do your research. I feel like if anything, that's what we've been
Yes,
honing on this entire time is do your research. Find out what
yes,
works for you and you know where to find her. She's had I feel like so many
yes.
businesses that we just listed. We'll put them all in the show notes. If you guys ever want to see any of the recaps from Lights Camera Live, you just head on over to lightscameralive.com. And so having said that, TerDawn, you've been absolutely amazing. Y'all, if you
Thank
see her
you.
on Clubhouse, join the room. Say what's up to her. She'll most likely have a spreadsheet with your name on it. No.
Right. Yes.
Right? And shout out again to Harry Jamison who's saying, yes, very unique name. I have to agree.
Thank you.
There is no other TerDawn. And so if you want
Thank
the
you. So
good about
I just want to
Clubhouse,
say thank you for being dope. Cause like when I saw like, man, this from the sounds to the mathematical equations going around and the quality of like everything that you're doing, your energy, your light shines bright. Not just because you have good lighting, because it's coming from within you. So thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate you for
thank
being
you.
patient with me and for having me here to be able to share with your audience.
Of course. And I'm sure that they're going to follow you because you, man, like I said, the first time I met you in Stelzner's room, I was like, I need her on the show. She is speaking my love language. She said spreadsheets. Oh my God. All right. So, having said that, crew, I'll let you go. Same bat time, bat channel. Head on over to
Thank you all.
lightscameralive.com. Add us to your calendar. You guys show TerDawn some love. Yay. And TerDawn,
Thank
don't hang up
you.
just yet because
Okay.
we'll have a debrief
Okay.
as we always do in the green room. All right, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.